You? Come on up.
Benner, thank you. Chief Day, how are you?
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm so happy Sierra's making an appearance with all of us.
Sierra's amazing. She's really the reason you're all here. I know that.
Sure.
The reason is
Okay, great. I'll go right here. No, this is perfect.
All right, thank you all for coming on short notice. Chief's going to open up with some remarks, then we'll have Sierra Ellis, Director of Ceasefire, and then we have a few minutes for some Q&A. So thank you all for being here. Chief, we'll let you get started.
Thanks,
Get
sir.
underway.
Thanks. Good afternoon. You know, we're here today to recognize, sadly, another tragedy in our city. I have many times and will continue to emphasize the sanctity of life, and the primary role of law enforcement is protecting life. And when we have a loss in our community, it impacts all of us. It impacts the organization, it impacts the families, individuals, communities, neighborhoods, and that is why we continue to emphasize our commitment. There's really no words that can ease the pain. The loss of this 14-year-old boy is just really a lot to take in, and with his life ahead of him, just sort of compounds that sadness. We also know there was two others. There was a 17-year-old that was shot in this incident, a 42-year-old, and then a 19-year-old that suffered a non-gunshot related injury. Each of these individuals, their families, are certainly in our hearts and prayers. The death of a 14-year-old marks the 5th time a minor has lost their life to homicidal violence since 2023. Once again, just all lives are important, but as we look at our young people, this case marks the 42nd homicide of 2025. This time last year we were at 64, and I'm grateful that that number is substantially less, but it's just a statistic. It's not reflective of the pain and the heartache and the loss that we experience as a community, and one life is too many. I'm grateful for the work that we experience with the community in solving these crimes, but I don't ever want it to just be a statistic. At this stage of the investigation, the detectives do not believe that this was random. They do not see this as a greater threat to the community. They continue to gather evidence. They're speaking with witnesses. They're looking for follow-up. We're asking anyone with information, no matter how insignificant you think that might be, please come forward. Please come and share with us if you think you have some awareness. Anytime we have violence, and certainly violence involving young people, deeply concerning. It demands a whole city response. Recently been reading the book called The Right Kind of Wrong by Amy Edmondson, and she says fixes, I thought of this when I thought about this event, and I thought about our actions. Fixes fail because a symptom demands a response, often urgently, triggering a solution that alleviates the symptom in the short run, but produces consequences that make the problem worse over time. Oftentimes when we see acts of violence, it is a response to an immediate symptom. It's a quick fix. But the consequences that make the problem worse over time are profoundly obvious in this situation. I just want to emphasize that in the Police Bureau, we're not about quick fixes. We are trying diligently to work with the entire system. And that includes, as you're going to hear a little bit from our ceasefire director, Sierra Ellis, and others, we work to identify conflicts early, interdicting criminal behavior involving youth, looking for options, other pathways, other partnerships. In the Police Bureau, we are really committed to working with all Portlanders for safety. And we want to do this work with you. Not at you, not for you, but with you. That is our plea today, is that we will continue to show up as a community, that we will continue to show up in a way that helps us to be able to find positive solutions, not only justice in this case, but also ways to interdict this so it doesn't happen again. I'll turn it over to our ceasefire director, Sierra Ellis.
Thanks, Chief Day. Good afternoon. My name is Sierra Ellis, and I am the Ceasefire Director for the City of Portland. Unfortunately, we're here today because of a senseless act of violence that tragically took the life of a young 14-year-old boy in our community. Our team quickly activated, and we've been closely involved with the victims and their families since this incident has occurred. And I want to share a little bit about what Ceasefire does and how we work to keep our community safe, and how we can work together to prevent tragedies like this from happening in the future. Ceasefire is the City of Portland's gun violence reduction strategy. We work with trusted community-based partners and organizations and our law enforcement partners to reduce gun violence through a coordinated, thoughtful, and trauma-informed way. We focus on individuals who are at the highest risk of gun violence, those whether or not they're a victim or perpetrator, and those who may cause harm. Our mission is to engage before violence happens and to intervene immediately after an incident to reduce harm, prevent retaliation, and support healing. We do this work through our partners, POIC, HHP, HELP, Nurture, GIA, and Going Home Too, who have deep lived experience and relationships in our neighborhoods and serve as our intensive case managers. They help build trust, identify conflicts early, and connect individuals to services and support that can change the course of folks' lives. When a violent incident occurs like this one, we activate our response networks, such as those organizations who I mentioned, and they are a key part of that response. Specifically, our hospital-based violence intervention program, Healing Hurt People. When a shooting victim arrives at the hospital, our team connects with them within the first few hours of them arriving, which is a critical window. That moment is important because people who survive shootings are at a higher risk of retaliation or being retaliated against. The team helps interrupt that cycle of violence, supports the family, and creates a safety and discharge plan, which can include relocation if necessary. From there, we identify others who have been involved or impacted and connect them to our intensive case management service, our program for long-term support, such as mentorship, counseling, behavioral health support, housing and employment, and conflict resolution and ongoing safety planning. We've also seen a rise in youth violence-related gun violence, and we have responded to that by adding a youth-specific provider to help intervene earlier. That partnership has been critical to Ceasefire, and the organization who does that work is HELP, and they have already received 45 referrals this year. Our data shows that this increase aligns with historical seasonal trends, especially in September and October. When students return to school, old conflicts resurface, and school issues spill into the neighborhoods and communities. This past weekend, we lost a young life to senseless gun violence. Ceasefire and our partners are supporting the victims, their families, and those affected, and we remain committed to doing everything we can to prevent further harm. We can hold compassion and accountability at the same time. We are committed to building a Portland where gun violence is less frequent, less harmful, and less accepted. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ellis. We have time for some Q&A, and just remember that we are in the investigative process. Detectives, I know for a fact, are actively working this case, so we're not going to be able to get too in the weeds about the case itself, but we'll do our best to answer some questions. Go ahead.
Are you able to share the relationship between the people in the house, especially since it is a wide range of people who are injured?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the relationship, just the fact that it appears that people knew each other. As you said, it's not random, so there does seem to be some awareness of people involved. But I don't know if there was, I don't know, like siblings or anything like that. So
the shooting victims, did they live in that house? Were they visiting the house?
I don't know the details of that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Do you know if this was gang related?
Not heard that term used. It does not appear to be. I'm looking at Mike. Does not appear to be gang related. And I spoke specifically earlier yesterday, I think it was, with the investigators, and they had not drawn that connection.
Are you still seeking information from the public?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these are complex, ongoing investigations, and anyone with information, neighbors, maybe there's, you know, Ring doorbells, surveillance cameras, somebody heard something, absolutely would ask them to contact Portland Police.
I'm
Speaking-
asking, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'm asking that because it seems like really close knit, especially because they were all in the house, so are you looking for somebody then?
Yeah, we're actively looking for some suspects, and, you know, obviously they weren't at the house when we arrived, so they had to leave in some fashion, and whether that be on foot or whether that be in a vehicle, you know, whatever it might be. So that's why we're seeking information from people in the neighborhood that may have seen something or heard something.
So with it not being random, does that mean you have an indication of who it could be?
Yeah, we've got some suspects that we're looking for at this point, none that we're prepared to identify at this time, because it's just, you know, based upon the investigative path that it takes us. But we're confident that, you know, once again, that this wasn't, that there's no greater threat right now to the community.
And that's
Well,
what
this-
neighbors had said that, they said, is this someone that's gonna come and get my kids next door?
Yeah, we don't anticipate, we don't see that right now as a risk.
Remember, everyone, this is an active investigation, so we don't want to divulge too much about it.
Was this an address previously known to police?
I don't know if we had any previous calls there. Do you have some data on that? If we need to, we can get some data on that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an active area. The street is a very active area. We've had several shootings there in that area
Would you
before.
mind stepping
Yeah.
to the
Yeah,
front
so
for a
it's an
second?
active area. We've had several shootings there prior to this before.
Can you mention retaliation is something you're looking at? Like
Um,
worried about victims that might still be in that house?
We're not necessarily worried about the victims that still might be in the house. We want to make sure those victims who were targeted are safe. And so if relocation is something that they want, we will provide that for them.
Do we know what school the 14-year-old attended?
No, no.
And that wouldn't be our place to
Yeah.
discuss
Yeah.
that. Thank you. Anything else, guys?
Sorry, I know it's tough because we want to have more to share, but we got to protect the integrity of what we're trying to get done. I appreciate you guys respecting that. So, and thanks for giving us a platform. We just can't stop recognizing, you know, these losses. And we are doing much better as a community. We are seeing all of the numbers trend in the right direction, including our non-fatal shootings. But you know, we just want to continue to emphasize a couple things. One, the sanctity of life, but two, this really is a holistic work. I can't say enough good about Sierra's work and Ceasefire and these numerous community-based organizations that are critical in the partnership. Their lived experience, they're able to enter into spaces that we can